Once upon a time, in a small, quiet town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there was an old, abandoned school building. This building had stood empty for many years, its windows shattered and its walls covered in ivy. The townspeople often spoke of the eerie aura that surrounded it, and children would dare each other to go near it, but few ever did. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a deep shade of purple, a group of adventurous kids decided to explore the old school. They had heard countless stories about the place, tales of ghosts and strange noises, but their curiosity got the better of them. As they approached the building, the air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding washed over them. The creaking of the old wooden doors echoed through the empty halls as they pushed them open and stepped inside. The dim light from their flashlights cast long, eerie shadows on the walls, and the sound of their footsteps seemed to be swallowed by the darkness. The kids walked cautiously, their hearts pounding in their chests as they ventured deeper into the school. They were scared and fearful as they saw the barely lit place. The hallways were lined with old lockers, their doors hanging open and rusted. The air was thick with dust, and the smell of mildew was overpowering. Every creak and groan of the building made them jump, and they clung to each other for comfort. The further they went, the more their fear grew, but they pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets of the old school. It was abandoned and dark. The walls were covered in peeling paint, and the floors were littered with debris. Broken desks and chairs were scattered about, and old textbooks lay open, their pages yellowed with age. The kids couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, and every now and then, they thought they saw shadows moving out of the corner of their eyes. But when they turned to look, there was nothing there. They continued walking down a hallway. The further they went, the darker it became, and soon their flashlights were the only source of light. The air grew colder, and their breath came out in visible puffs. They could hear the faint sound of dripping water, and the occasional scurrying of rats. The kids were on edge, their nerves frayed, but they were determined to see this adventure through to the end. Suddenly they saw a mad scientist laughing devilishly. He was standing in a room at the end of the hallway, his face illuminated by the flickering light of a single candle. He wore a tattered lab coat, and his hair was wild and unkempt. His eyes gleamed with a sinister light, and his laughter echoed through the empty halls. The kids froze in their tracks, their hearts pounding in their chests. They had heard stories about the mad scientist who was said to haunt the old school, but they had never believed them. Now, standing face to face with him, they realized that the stories were true. One by one, he turned them into blobs. The mad scientist raised his hands and a strange green light emanated from his fingertips. The kids tried to run, but they were rooted to the spot, unable to move. The light enveloped them and they felt a strange sensation wash over them. Their bodies began to change, melting and shifting until they were nothing more than amorphous blobs. They could still see and hear, but they were powerless to do anything. The mad scientist's laughter grew louder and the kids felt a sense of despair wash over them. As soon as they were turned into blobs, they woke up in the middle of class. The kids blinked in confusion, their hearts still pounding from the terror they had just experienced. They were back in their classroom, sitting at their desks, with their teacher standing at the front of the room. The sunlight streamed in through the windows and the sound of birds chirping filled the air. The kids looked around, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Had it all been a dream? It felt so real, but now they were back in the safety of their school. It was just a nightmare and everything was fine. The kids let out a collective sigh of relief, their fear slowly ebbing away. They exchanged nervous glances, each one wondering if the others had experienced the same nightmare. As the teacher continued with the lesson, the kids couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the normalcy of their everyday lives. The old abandoned school and the mad scientist were just figments of their imagination, and they were safe and sound. But deep down, they knew that they would never forget the terror they had felt, and the adventure that had brought them closer together.